morning. Just kidding, it's like 3 p.m. So by the title of the vlog, I'm sure you've seen I've chosen to be a clown. I have last minute decided to reread Shadow and Bone, the Grisha trilogy as a whole. I decided to read my US collector's edition. My mom got me this for my birthday and she was sad when I told her it was my 4th copy. So now I can be like, look mom, I'm reading it. It has this, it's so pretty. I'm only on like chapter 2, but I still love Mal. My boy. I haven't decided yet or not if this vlog is going to contain spoilers. I feel like it will, just because I think most people have read it. And if they haven't, they're either like reading it now and can watch it soon, or you're never going to read it and you're going to be fine with spoilers. I don't know. Ideally, I would love to read... That's what happens when I take 1 sip of soda when I normally only drink water. I would like to read the entire Grishaverse this month, because like the show comes out in April, but the 2nd book in the King of Scars duology, Rule of Wolves, comes out at the end of this month. So I figured if I'm rereading the Grisha trilogy, then I might as well reread 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and then I might as well reread King of Scars. And if I'm gonna reread King of Scars, then I need to reread all of these books before I read Rule of Wolves, which comes out at the end of the month. I'm scared, but I can do it. Maybe. I don't know. I might just have to not read Rule of Wolves as soon as it comes out. I don't know. But we have until like the end of April to get the Grisha trilogy and 6 of Crows read, even though I don't know how much they're even going into 6 of Crows in this show, and it's probably just gonna be the 1st book of the Grisha trilogy. Oh well, too late, we're doing it. Something I really love, because today's March 1st, woohoo, is when the 1st of a month begins on a Monday. It just feels right. So let's see who's on the calendar this month. Who is that supposed to be Rowan from Throne of... I will literally tear this off. Is that supposed to be him? Because like the gray hair. Who's next? If there's like... Yeah, because that is probably Selena. Some bullshit right there. So I have decided that this will be a spoilery vlog. I've also decided that I would like to read all 3 books in one vlog. We'll see if that happens. Especially because I'm only on page 33 of Shadow and Bone. But I'm trying to get my thoughts out in this vlog in my little space rather than tweeting every thought and like summoning things that I don't want to hear. As you might know, I'm a Mal stan. It's not the popular opinion in the fandom. And like, first of all, I think a lot of the reasons that people say that they don't like Mal for, I mean like, it's your opinion and you're absolutely entitled to it. But I just never really understand it because I always feel like there's arguments against it, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion! But anyway, how could I not ship them when they're on the sand skiff and they're going into the fold for the first time, which is like the dark thing. I don't think I need to explain things because if you're here, you've probably read the books, because like I said, we're spoiling here. This will be spoilers. But they're going into the fold that the Darkling created hundreds of years ago or whatever. It's full of these dragon-like creatures called Volcra, and they get attacked. And Alina is hovering over Mal's body and there's Volcra coming for them, and so they think they're gonna die. But of course with Alina, her power's gonna light up the skies. But Mal says, I'll meet you in the meadow. And it breaks my heart because, as we also learn in the very beginning of the book, Mal and Alina grew up together in an orphanage, and they were basically each other's, they were their right hand, like they were each other's family. And they would always play in the meadow there, and it's just like, how do you not ship that? The shared history, the love that they have for each other that has existed for so many years, like it's just, it's top tier. I don't give a fuck about your villain. This is top tier. Reading a line that I've now heard in the trailer is absolutely wild. Also interesting how they have this scene with the Darkling now instead of just the random captain, which makes sense. But like, I'm a map maker, sir. A map maker, sir. I feel like I'm gonna be breaking out the camera so much for this vlog, but like maybe this will help y'all understand why I love Mal. Alina was just brought before the Darkling, and they're like trying to figure out where the light came from, if it came from her. And the Darkling is like talking to Mal, and he's like, you know, what did you see? And Mal's basically like, I ain't seen nothing. They ask him what he remembers, and he's like, you know, I said something to Alina, And the Darkling's like, what did you say? And he's like, I don't remember. And it says, I recognized the stubborn set of his jaw and knew he was lying. He did remember. My boy said, I ain't no snitch. I couldn't eat. I think so many people take Mal's stance as like, he doesn't want Alina to have power. He doesn't like her being powerful. He's like jealous, blah, 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 blah. But what I see is a boy who has known this girl his whole life. She's his family. He loves her, and suddenly everything is changing. Everything is being taken away, and I just feel like people don't give him the benefit of being human and having feelings and emotions. Like, I genuinely, especially for like a teenager, I just feel like he has no room to feel things and make mistakes, which is another reason why all the hate he gets just like, it bugs me to a point where it shouldn't. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You know, I'm not gonna say that there's nothing alluring about the Darkling and Alina, especially in the beginning of the book. I mean, I'm like 200 pages in now, and he hasn't done anything wrong. There's no reason to dislike him yet. And there is that sort of thrill because he's an amplifier. So when they touch, Alina's like, oh, I feel the things. So like, I can admit that. But can I just say, when he kisses her for the first time, it is so like, not even like it's bad, but it just feels so random and out of place that I'm like, this got y'all so passionate. I know it's not like the scene that people talk about when it comes to them, but like, I literally forgot it happened. I was just reading it and it was like, and then he kissed me, and I was like, the fuck? That came out of nowhere. There was no build up or lead up to that. Okay. So hi, hello. Last night I ended up getting to page 309 of Shadow and Bone, which is pretty impressive for me considering I started it on page like 30. It's just a reminder of how like addicting this series is. It's so easy to just sit there and consume and not feel like I've been consuming. So I'm stopped at the part right after Alina and Mal find the stag, and Alina's like, oh, it's so beautiful, I can't kill it. And then the Darkling shows up and is like, well, I don't have a heart. Something that's frustrating about that scene is like, Alina's literally right next to the stag, and the Darkling has already put an arrow in it, or like someone did it for him, whatever. Homegirl could have easily at that point like reached over and been like, I'm sorry stag, I must now kill you for the sake of humanity. Instead, Alina was like, Mal, please kill me for the sake of humanity. And obviously he doesn't, because he loves her too much. I've often said that Leigh Bardugo gave me the Gale and Katniss that I never got, because Mal and Alina remind me so much of Gale and Katniss, especially like Mal and Gale side by side. Like, I'm sure no one is surprised that me loving Mal also means I love Gale and vice versa. I think they're very similar characters. They're the best friends to lovers excellence. They're unjustly unliked by their fandoms. They both love the woods. They're both hunters, trackers, whatever you want to call it. And then this scene in particular is so reminiscent of Mockingjay when they're disguised and they're going through the Capitol and Gale is taken and he's mouthing something to Katniss or yelling at her and she doesn't know what he's saying. And he was saying, shoot me, because they agreed that they would always like take each other out before letting each other get captured. And I'm just like, I swear, Leigh Bardugo, if you are a Gale stan, just tell me. I won't tell anyone else. I understand. And I just love the scenes of Mal and Alina in the woods, and specifically after they get robbed and then they fight their way out. And at the end, Mal is like, where did you learn to fight like that? Like, that was so cool. And like all the tension breaks out and Mal apologizes for being an asshole when he saw her at the little palace. And he explains everything that's happened to him, all the trauma that he's been going through. And like, it just makes sense, everything that goes on between them, because they're humans with human emotions and human reactions. It's so good. I love it. I love this series. I'm definitely going to finish this tonight and then probably start Siege and Storm. I also would like to watch the Moxie movie tonight because that just came out, which is really weird to have a movie releasing on a Wednesday, but you do you, Netflix. I don't know if I had more to say. I probably did. There were a lot of times where I was like, okay, you don't need to pick up the camera every time you squeal about something, girl. Like, chill the fuck out. I could already feel editing me being like, girl, shut up. I'm just gonna say it. The Darkling kissing Alina when she's begging for Mal's life, knowing that she will do, say, anything at that moment to save him, like taking advantage of that, is gross. I don't understand. I don't understand. Who wants a reading of one of my favorite scenes between Mal and Alina that also should truly shut up their haters? No one? Okay, let's do it. Mal, what the Darkling said in the glade about him and me. I didn't. I never. It doesn't matter. It doesn't? No. I don't think I believe you. So maybe I don't believe it yet either. Not completely, but it's the truth. He clutched my hands more tightly, holding them close to his heart. I don't care if you danced naked on the roof of the little palace with him. I love you, Alina, even the part of you that loved him. I wanted to deny it, to erase it, but I couldn't. Another sob shook me. I hate that I ever thought, do you blame me for every mistake I made? For every girl I tumbled? For every dumb thing I've said? Because if we start running tallies on stupid, you know who's going to come out ahead. No, I don't blame you. Much. He grinned and my heart flip-flopped, the way it always had. We found our way back to each other, Alina. That's all that matters. And then they kiss, and it's just... like, they literally talk about their problems and they admit to their problems. Like, why are y'all so angry? Why are y'all so oppressed about this boy? Which honestly, the Darkling is the same way. Like, every time Alina like mentions Mal, like, he is so jealous. Like, he's so upset, and it's just kind of great if you think about it. Like, Mal bothers him so much, so perhaps that's why his cult also doesn't like Mal. I'm just saying, just saying. So another absolutely impeccable scene in this book is when Alina realizes that she can take her power back for herself and use the amplifier because she had showed the stag mercy. And sparing a life can be the same as like taking one, in a sense. A concept that I feel is a little loosey-goosey, but it gives her power, so that's all that matters. And the Darkling had tried to feed Mal to the Volcra, but obviously Alina, now that she can control her light, is like, not on my watch! Not on my watch! And when she just like jumps off the sand skiff and is like, peace out. And then the Darkling's like calling after her, like, what about mercy and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, the audacity of men. So I finished and I read Mal's letter at the back of the book because obviously, and yeah, still 5 out of 5 stars. So good, so addicting. I need to read you a couple of things from Mal's letter because I'm me. I think this just gives you so much understanding into his character. He's telling Alina about like things that are happening and like how he's feeling about her. He's talking about the first time when the Darkling brought Alina into his tent, and it says, I need to sleep, but I know I won't. I can't stop seeing the look on your face that day in the Grisha tent, the fear and confusion, the blood dripping down your arm. He cut you, Alina. I saw the knife in his hand. How many times has he cut you since? How many times has he hurt you? How many times have I failed to stop him? Which is like... And we also read about him coming to some of his realizations because he's been asking his captain about Alina and like wanting to write to her. And the captain says, what is she to you anyway? And he goes, here's my answer, Captain. She's the thing that made this all okay. The threadbare coats and the old boots and the guns that jam when you most need them to fire. The loneliness of knowing that you don't matter, that you will never matter. The fact that you're just another body, another uniform to be sent into the fold or the frost. Another good boy who knows his place, who does his job, who doesn't ask questions, who will lie down and die and be forgotten. What is she? She's everything, you dumb son of a bitch. I think that's part of why Mal resents the Grisha too, and like the powers, because he's just never had a good experience with them and he spent all this time worrying about Alina, and it's just... But yeah, that's it for this book. Now we're moving on to Miss Siege and Storm, which has always been my least favorite in the series. This is the only one that I've given 4 stars and not 5 stars. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes at all during this read. Once again, I'm only 30 something pages in, but I have to bring up the camera because Nikolai's here. Or like Sturmhound so far. He hasn't revealed himself yet. And like, I love Mal, obviously. But while I feel like Mal is Alina's, Nikolai is for me. I love him so much. I didn't really like want him and Alina to be together, though obviously if I had to pick a second ship for her, it would be him over the Darkling. But as a character, I love him so much. Like, that's my type. That's my type. Anyway, moving on. So I'm about 100 pages into Siege and Storm. The fight that they have on the ship is so iconic, but I'm going to stop for the night and watch the Moxie movie. I don't remember much about the book. I enjoyed it, so we'll see how the movie goes.
the next day.
Hello. So it probably looks like the same day, but it's actually Thursday now. I'm 160 pages in. Thought I'd give a little update. First of all, I really enjoyed the Moxie movie last night, so if you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend. But I've just gotten to the part where Nikolai has finally revealed his true self. We're no longer on the ship, which I honestly think the parts on the ship are some of the best parts of this book, because I just love his crew and the energy of it all. I also really love Tamar and Toila. The scene in the tent between Alina and Mal and Nikolai, and then Alina and Mal, is so like messy for me, because on one hand I love that Alina stands up and she's like, if I go with you, if I agree to things, I want to lead the Grisha army. But we also have that moment of Nikolai basically being like, we could get married, which of course turns Mal into like, it's on site, and since they were already there, it was on site. My boy definitely overreacts a little there. I'll give you all that. And he's definitely a little insecure in these moments, which I think makes sense because so much is changing. I'm interested to see how I like this book going forward, because like I said, it has always been my least favorite. It's been the one I give 4 stars. But like this first part, like if I was reading it right now, I would give it 5 stars. So Nikolai just said, I've never been a natural at anything. Hello, Mirrorball is a Nikolai song. And like, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, oh my god, it is. Because Nikolai just transforms himself over and over again to fit whatever setting he's in. He's a mirror ball! Oh my god. The revelations of a reread is amazing. Hello, I just need to share that my mom brought me an Arby's mint chocolate shake. I'm telling y'all, this is the best mint chocolate shake in the game. Don't let McDonald's fool you with that Shamrock Shake bullshit. This is where it's at. It has Andes candies on top. It is superior. So I have about 100 pages left of Siege and Storm. Definitely want to get this finished tonight, so then I can hop into Rune and Rising and maybe actually finish the entire trilogy within this week. Hello. I think I'm starting to realize why this book isn't quite as good as the others for me, and that's the pacing just kind of feels off. The beginning of the book is really fun. We're getting into this sort of new territory. Mel and Alina have left Ravka, and then we have the time with them on Nikolai's ship and all of that. But as we're getting back to Ravka once again, we're going to the capital and the palace. First of all, this feels almost more like a conclusion, like a last book in a series rather than a second book, and it really just like throws me off, because I'll be reading it like knowing there's a third book, but it feels like it's leading already to an end. And I think that, I don't know how to say it exactly, but I think that has something to do with the pacing, how this transitions from the beginning to the middle to what we're heading into as the final third. But I'm still really enjoying it. I don't know yet if it will move up at all. Doesn't really matter, because it's still one of my favorite books. It's in one of my favorite series of all time. Right now, Mel and Alina are kind of on the outs because he tried to kiss her and she flinched because she's been seeing the Darkling, except she hasn't communicated that. So Mel's just like, okay, well, obviously you don't want me. And he kind of takes himself out of the picture, which I'm sure people have an issue with. But honestly, if I tried to kiss someone and they were just like, ooh, no, I think I would also be like, okay, bye. Their communication sucks in this book though, which is pretty typical of YA lovers, specifically in earlier YA, as this I would categorize, not early as in the existence, but it was in the time of like the Hunger Games and Divergent and all of that, where we also still had things in books like Alina always being iffy with other girls, kind of having a little bit of not like other girls syndrome, always very insecure about her looks. Mel and Alina are both really insecure, I think, is what I read mostly from this, which just makes them perfect for each other. There's a line in here that Nikolai says, and it's something like, for lovers eternal, you two are sure insecure. And it was just like, but I think they both have reasons to be insecure, because they are these two orphans who have been thrown into this different world, especially Alina. And now that Alina is seemingly fitting in, Mel is extra insecure because he's like, wow, I don't fit in here. So yeah, that's all. I have to do a little more work for the day, then I'm gonna finish this. It's gonna be a great time. I'm glad I'm finally filming a clip in the daylight, because this book looks so gorgeous in the light of day. Like, hello. I love these covers. So I finished it. I don't know what I officially marked this as on Goodreads, but I think I would actually give this a 4.5, not a 4, because the end is pretty damn good. The scene at the end when it's Nikolai's birthday and his brother is going off like, haha, I got us this great deal, look at what I did. And Nikolai's like, you absolute buffoon, because he just ruined everything, and now the Darkling is coming and they had the big attack and they run down and now they're with the pilgrims. That scene where Alina's like, I'm just gonna kill us both, but Mal doesn't let her. So yeah, 4.5. Not my favorite in the series, but still pretty good, pretty excellent. I'm excited to get into Ruin and Rising because Mal and Alina spend most of this book kind of like miscommunicating, having some issues. They're not exactly together at the end of this book, but I know they get over their shit in Ruin and Rising, so I would like to get to that point. But then there's also how Ruin and Rising ends, which I don't know if I'm gonna start it tonight or not. Right now I kind of just want to relax and like play some Uno, but I'm very proud of myself for getting through this series pretty quickly here. Like, I think I'll be able to finish Ruin and Rising over this weekend. Heck yes. Also forgot to mention this, but when Alina says, I have loved you all my life, Mal, there is no end to our story. I felt that. So an update, it's Saturday, right? Yeah. I am halfway through Ruin and Rising, enjoying it as always. I don't know if this is my favorite book in the series. I guess I can maybe answer that question when I finish, but I quite love it. Not quite the popular opinion, obviously, but I get my way. I really love Nikolai's entrance in this book when he comes in and helps Alina and the gang after they've gotten away from the apparat, and they're out of the tunnels and whatnot and finally above ground, I don't know. I am, however, ready to get to the point where Mal and Alina like get back together. They really spend this first half, at least, sort of trying to accept that they're not going to be together. Mal is very adamant about making up for the mistakes that he made in Siege and Storm. Oh my god, character development. People act like it doesn't exist. And Alina is working on being like, okay, I can't be with him because we're on different paths. And I'm just like, babies. We also learn about Mal's tattoo in this book, which is something everyone likes to make fun of him for because, I mean, I'll admit, I am become a blade. Not the most philosophical wording that could be out there, but I like when he talks to Alina about it here, and he says, it's a promise to be better than I was. It's a vow that if I can't be anything else to you, at least I can be a weapon in your hand. And I guess it's a reminder that wanting and deserving aren't the same thing. Like, that's my boy. Ugh, I love him. I also really like the scene where Genya is sort of brought before the king because she had, you know, poisoned him, caused him to become ill, but that she stands up for herself and she's like, well, he was only poisoned because I poisoned my skin and he was forcing himself on me, so... And then Nikolai is like, okay, Dad, you can abdicate the throne and go be safe in this other part of the country, or I'm gonna have you held for rape charges. And I'm just like, that's my other boy. And I just like in this book that we get to see Alina forging more of a bond with the other Grisha, with other women. I think there is so much character development that is had in Ruin and Rising that people kind of ignore just because it may not have ended the way they wanted it to. Hate is gonna hate. Also, can we talk about the absurd number of tabs I have in this? Like, running my fingers over it, it's like, oh my god. And yet there's been places that I've been like, oh, I should have put a tab here. I should have put a tab here. I'm not adding any new tabs this reread because I was honestly just too lazy to get out these ones, like arrow ones, because the ones that I have out are like just the normal ones. But I have a feeling the next time I reread the series, which at this point it seems to be occurring quite frequently, there's definitely more things to tab, which is like insane. Like, it's mostly at the end here where it's like just insane, and I know exactly what parts those will be, and I am not ready for them. But yeah, that's the update. I'm enjoying it. I love this series. I love these characters, and I swear, if we do not get a Malina cameo in Rule of Wolves, Miss Bardugo, I'll have some thoughts thrown in your direction. So I've reached the part of the book where we find out that Mal is the third amplifier, and that basically means it's just crying from here on out, even though I know how it ends. It gets me every time. Imagine reading this book where like Mal has done nothing but basically give himself up to the cause, and at the end of this literally give his life for the cause, and is just doing everything to support Alina, understanding that in order for her to go on and be queen or whatever she wants to do, that he has to walk away. Him doing that while the Darkling is just doing a whole bunch of bullshit. He's killed a bunch of people and he says, I've waited hundreds of years for this moment, for your power, for this chance. I have earned it with loss and with struggle. I've earned it? Oh my god, shut the fuck up. Like, I can't stand men. And then this great quote, I will strip away all that you know, all that you love, until you have no shelter but me. Sounds like a true controlling, disgusting man. People will be like, the Darkling's bad in like a fantasy way. But that's pretty typical man to me. Arrogant, audacity, thinking they deserve everything. It's typical white man right there. So just like imagine reading this book and being like, Mal is awful, but the Darkling is great. Like what the I can't fucking stand this fandom. And even if you don't like Mal, Nikolai is right there. I think I understand standing the Darkling from a villain standpoint, but shipping him with Alina, maybe you could do that in Shadow and Bone before she runs away from the little palace. But any point after that just does not make sense to me. But y'all do y'all. I'm gonna sit here and cry over my boy and my girl. My babies. Meant to be together. Family. Lovers. Love eternal. Okay. So I just read this line and I love it so much that I had to break out the camera. Alina says, what I felt for Mal was messy and stubborn and might leave me heartbroken in the end, but it was also human. And I just think that describes their whole relationship so well. It's messy and stubborn, but it's human. And they love each other. There's a big ass truck outside making so much noise, but I have about 50 pages left of Ruin and Rising. But can we talk about the amount of tabs that are like this many tabs for so little pages? I truly hate myself. But Alina and Mal are about to have sex for the first time and it's gonna make me cry like it always does, so y'all can probably guess what scene I'm on. I literally know how this ends. Why am I like this? So I finished and I still have tears in my eyes because this book makes me cry every damn time. Oh, but it's so good. Obviously it's 5 stars. I'm trying to remember the things that I was like, I'll talk about that when I film my wrap-up clip. Nikolai joining the battle like in his like monster form at the end and like attacking the Darklings like little creatures. Iconic. And of course Alina kills Mal. But it's fine because he comes back to life. It's fine. Another reason that I don't like the Darkling is because when Alina loses her power, he says to her, you're nothing now. Hello? I love this line though. Alina says, I heard the Darkling say, you're nothing now. The girl I'd once been would have believed him. The girl I'd become wasn't in the mood. And I love that Alina and Mal take Misha in, and it's just so sweet. Alina, Mal, Misha, and on-cat supremacy. It's interesting because even though I obviously ship Mal and Alina, when Nikolai is talking to her at the end and being like, you could still be my queen, you're the only person who understands this darkness inside of me, there's part of me that's like, that's true. It hurts. It hurts so good. But I love that Mal and Alina ultimately open up an orphanage and they run it so different from how they're normally run, and Nikolai and everyone comes to visit and they bring gifts, and Zoya gives her a kefta with a note that says, you will always be one of us. As you can see, I'm emotionally unstable. I've always felt the ending to be bittersweet because it makes sense that there had to be loss. But I also hate that Alina lost her power and that Mal lost his connection to whatever it was that was inside of him. And it talks about them like mourning their past selves, and then it says, but then the hour would pass and the teachers would catch them giggling in a dim hallway or kissing by the stairs. I love them so much. And I love that Zoya and Genya and David all go on to lead the Second Army and all of that good stuff. It's just, I miss them. I think that's what it is overall. Like, the Grisha verse has continued, but we haven't seen Malina since this book. And like, I miss them. I need a Rule of Wolves cameo. I need it. It's not even like a sad ending overall, because while they had lost things, they're also so happy together. Oh, but it just stabs at my heart, and I think I'm gonna stop rambling now. I'm sure there's things that I missed that I forgot to say, but overall, I mean, it's really hard to find all the things I like, because literally like the last page has like 4 tabs on it alone. So that's the end of this reading vlog. Thanks so much for watching if you made it to the end. Next week I'm gonna be starting 6 of Crows, and yeah, this whole month is just gonna be Grisha month, so strap in. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.